Uh, little tired this morning. 6 a.m. 6 a.m. nights are challenging, but it's great to see everybody. Thank you all for supporting book games in any shape or form, whether cheering for it, participating in it, watching it, knowing it exists. And I'm excited for this. So I'm ready to go.
Awesome, G. So we're going to start today a little differently. As requested from the last session, we got some community upvoted questions. Would love to jam through as many as we can for about 5-10 minutes. Then we'll go to our normal routine, get some folks up here to ask you some questions.
Sounds great, brother. And
awesome.
Didi, thank you so much for your efforts last night.
Absolutely. Super exciting. This is a very special Hangout Hawk, I think, on the day after book games launch. So super exciting. First question we got from Tata Borello. Gary, can we please make 10 minutes alpha trading calls in each call? We do it once a month, maybe in Discord or in this call. Some new interesting mints, trading opportunities, etc.
The issue with that is, the answer is sure. The issue is I tend to work this way with projects that I'm looking at. I have time, whatever that means. There's information being thrown around, whether I'm reading it on Twitter or Discord, or my brother's hitting me up about something, or a friend, and then I'll go in really heavy and do a bunch of homework. And then because I'm so worried about what my impact is on the market, I'll just buy and kind of call it a day. And that's why I always share as much as I can in the VFriends Discord after I buy. Everything else, there's too much homework. But for example, I'm happy to answer anybody's questions on emerging projects or things of that nature. But for example, I have nothing that like last night at 3:25 p.m., I found out about that Skulls thing. And I like older projects, and I decided I wanted to buy it. That wasn't on the radar. I'm aware of, I think it's Invisible Friends or Invisible People. There's a big project brewing in the ecosystem. But I've been so head down with book games that other projects has not been my focus at all.
Awesome. Next question we have here is from the Network Social. It's a two-parter. One, how can we as a group bring more value to Hawks to leverage our experiences, resources, et cetera, to make the group more desirable? And then two, how far out do you see local small business adapting and utilizing NFTs in a way that's actually of value and not gimmicky or isolating from non-tech savvy people?
Sorry, everybody. I have a pretty bad cough this week. I didn't hear part two because the cough was coming. I was trying to stop it.
Yeah, part two is how far out do you see local and small business adapting NFT utility and it being a factor without it being, gimmicky or isolating from tech?
3 to 5 years. We're early. I think people are really underestimating how early we are. It's why I think there'll be such a crash with 98% of projects. I think there's another big dip before it goes completely ballistic mainstream. As far as what you guys can do, I think, personal content, I always think, is the driver of awareness. Again, I think the biggest disconnect, is people that hold a Hangout Hawk or any token, excuse me, I'm sorry, naturally, and that makes sense to me, would like to see the floor price go up and, the value be there. My goal is to not do any behavior that undermines the long-term value. So I'm trying to be incredibly patient and strategic on how I navigate building the intellectual property and the different tokens within. And so on an individual basis, I think it's content. If 2 of you get together or 3 of you get together and start a podcast called, Hawks on a Nest, and talk about your experiences and what you learned and the access and, a million different things. Well, if that show catches some heat, then there's awareness. But, I think it's a fascinating combo of what can the community do to help. I think the reality is, like everything with fandom or collectibles, it's one's enthusiasm in something touching one other person that creates the ripple effects. I think too many people are asking questions of like, if we were the CMO, chief marketing officer of VeeFriends, what should we do? And I'm like, I don't need you to do that. That's not how this is structured. It's not appropriate, nor do I want anybody to touch that part. I started this project so I can do that part. So that's kind of how I see it.
Awesome. Got a couple more here and we'll go to some one-on-ones. Gary, back in November, you gave a hint that you're very bullish on Hawks in 2024 and beyond, and that you have a plan. Anything you can expand on that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be as straightforward as I think it's better than 50-50 chance that I do more with the VeeFriends Series 1 utility tokens than was promised on the contract. I don't know what else I can say. I mean, I think the biggest thing that let me give you something that really keeps me happy about the blockchain. One, it's transparent, right? I just woke up and there's hoopla about the crypto skulls because I guess the first person there was like 10 or 15 people buying it before I bought it last night. And I guess the first person bought a bunch and was selling a bunch, and people were kind of mad at that person for buying them, they're claiming a fake narrative that it was the second Ethereum PFP project. I'm not sure. I just knew it was older and looked like Skeletor and Atari and Nintendo. And I was like, good enough. And it was fucking 4 o'clock in the morning after a 2-day basher so I needed an escape from book games. Anyway, so I think that, back to Nicholas was saying, I think that lots got rich and lots lost in an 8-hour period. I continue to tell people, like, don't buy what I buy. I'm buying for 10 years. Because when 98% fail, I think the 2% that have a shot are A, people that can operate, me, and B, very early projects based on history. But like people that lost, like if you bought at 1, like, 99% of people are buying a flip. You can't cry about being a day trader when you lose. Like, it's very fascinating on the lack of accountability. Anyway, nonetheless, some hoopla on that. Where was I going with the question? What was the last question, DD?
The question was talking about beyond 2024.
Thank
Hawks,
you. Thank
bullish.
you. So transparency, like somebody's like, Gary V, you fucking piece of shit. You pump and dump. I'm like, cool. Here are my fucking wallets. Like, let's have a discussion. One of the reasons I stopped being so passionate about sports cards is people would claim that I would buy a bunch of Kevin Durant's, say I like Kevin Durant, and then sell them when I didn't. Who the fuck wants to lose their reputation? I can't afford to lose my reputation for $500 billion, let alone $1 million. The fuck's the matter with people? So the blockchain really seduced me because it's still the like all the things I love, but like, here it is. There's my wallets. Like, you can see everything that one of the reasons I made both of my wallets public and verified was I don't want any fucking debates. Right? Anyway, nonetheless, so there's that. The other thing is, I don't want to hear from any of these founders, well, the market got cold, or it's not my fault, all NFTs are not popular. You have an obligation to the people that bought your shit. The biggest thing I can control is the obligation that people paid for their original token, right? Because that was my issued price. I have thought about everything based on what everybody paid for everything on, do I think the value exchange is there? It's the reason I did VCon, right? It's the reason I did Hawks. Like, there's a value exchange above and beyond, or in conjunction, or in parallel with the collectible, right? The fact that I can do more after the fact, if I want to, is huge. We are 2.5 years away from that. I may be tired. I may feel like you got more than enough value. But I also know myself, and I have a very big emotional commitment to Series 1 VeeFriends. And I like the curveball of taking the access tokens and converting it into something else. And I alluded to that in the last call.
Well said.
But the nice thing is, contractually and morally, I don't think I'm obligated to do anything. And as a matter of fact, back to being big boys and girls, everybody here can sell 90% here can sell their Hawk for a substantial profit for what they paid for it. And so I'm not overtly worried about somebody on this call crying to me in 2026 if the global economy melts and their Hawk is not as valuable as they wanted, because they can sell it right now. There's a level of like self-obligation and accountability that's very important in all this too.
Awesome, G. Last one here we're going to go just because it's really relevant and might be your first sort of public statement about this question. Can you please share any more alpha or info on the special character book game tokens? Any hints, tip-offs, etc., about what may come?
No, too early. But I'll say that, you know, I'm pretty consistent. You know, they're special, and I like the people that buy the ponies and the, you know, koalas. I mean, I'm really laughing that people, I mean, 2 of the 3 of them are obnoxiously literal. Like, Kino Koala literally has a briefcase that says 2025 on it. And Time Machine Ogre literally has a date on his time machine.
There we go. And with that, let's go.